Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, so today we're tackling the Hebrew Bible,
Right.
or as many know it, the Old Testament.
Oh, okay.
But here's the twist. We're ditching the usual Sunday school interpretations. We're going full-on literal,
Yeah.
focusing on the original Hebrew
Oh, wow.
and what it might actually be saying.
Interesting.
It's like the Bible, unfiltered. You with me.
I'm with you.
Awesome.
Ciao.
So you sent over some excerpts from Mauro Biglino's Gods of the Bible, and let me tell you,
Yeah.
this is not your grandma's Bible study.
It definitely challenges quite a few assumptions.
Yeah, it kind of throws a wrench into the whole God as this
Right.
singular, all-powerful being thing, doesn't it?
It does.
He suggests that Elohim, the Hebrew word, often translated as God, actually refers to a group of individuals.
Yes.
Powerful, sure.
Yeah.
But not quite the ethereal being we picture,
Right, exactly. And Biglino really emphasizes that they have a hierarchy.
Oh, interesting.
Led by a figure named Elion.
So, like a board of directors, but for creating humanity.
In a way, yeah. Biglino points out that they have advanced technology.
Oh, okay.
Even flying machines.
What? Hold
Yeah.
on. Flying machines like chariots of fire?
Yeah, well, not exactly chariots.
Okay.
He uses terms like ruach, kavod, merkava.
Wow, those are not terms I'm familiar with.
Yeah, and he suggests that biblical accounts of, divine acts could be ancient people trying to describe these encounters with advanced technology.
Okay, so instead of miracles, we have well-documented UFO sightings.
That's one way to put it.
I mean, does this mean Noah's Ark wasn't about a flood sent by God, but maybe something else entirely?
That's one of the intriguing possibilities he puts forward.
Okay, my mind is officially doing backflips here. So if these Elohim weren't God in the traditional sense, who were they? What else do we know?
Well, he describes them as long-lived but not immortal. And they seem to possess advanced knowledge and skills.
Okay.
Which they passed on to certain humans.
Oh, like an ancient apprenticeship program.
It's an interesting way to think about it, yeah.
I like that. And it makes me think of, remember Moses' father-in-law, Jethro?
Yes.
He wasn't just a priest.
Right.
He was a skilled leader and advisor.
Exactly.
Almost like he'd had some special training.
Like he'd been taught by the Elohim, yeah.
Yeah, it's as if they were sharing their expertise, maybe even influencing the development of human societies.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow, this is rewriting history as we know it.
It is.
So what about Adam? Did Biglino buy the whole formed from dust story?
Not quite. He points out that the Hebrew word for made in that context, it's different from created. More like manipulation or engineering than divine creation.
Interesting.
And he even draws attention to the word selim.
Okay.
It's often translated as image or likeness, but it implies something something that can be manipulated.
Okay.
He suggests, what if it's talking about DNA?
Hold on. Are you saying Adam wasn't created in the divine sense, but rather manufactured? Like a prototype?
That's one way to interpret it.
Whoa! We're going down a rabbit hole here. And then there are the giants, the Nephilim.
Yes.
How do they fit into all of this?
Well, the word Nephilim itself might come from a Hebrew root meaning to fall or to come down.
It's okay.
Now, they're traditionally seen as fallen angels.
Right.
But remember those flying machines?
Oh, yeah?
What if the Nephilim were actually descendants of the Elohim?
Okay, so not just giants in stature, but giants in terms of like their lineage, their knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're talking ancient astronauts, alien hybrids.
Yeah.
This is getting seriously mind-blowing.
No.
But wait, Biglino also mentioned something about cargo cults.
He does.
How does that tie into all of this?
Well, it's one of the most fascinating connections he makes. Cargo cults, they emerged when isolated cultures encountered advanced technology that they didn't understand, and it led to all these rituals and beliefs.
Right, like worshiping airplanes because they'd never seen them before.
Precisely. And Biglino applies this concept to the name Yahweh and the rituals in the Old Testament.
You're telling me things like the burning of offerings, that wasn't just religious ritual,
Yeah.
but maybe attempts to like interact with or appease these Elohim and their technology.
That's what he suggests.
Like ancient people hitting the wrong buttons on a spaceship control panel.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, we've gone from ancient astronauts to alien hybrids to misinterpreted technology.
It's a wild ride.
This is officially the most interesting Bible study I've ever attended. So if Yahweh was just one of many Elohim, it really makes you rethink the whole chosen people concept, doesn't it?
It does. Biglino suggests that they weren't chosen as, a universally favored group, but more like Yahweh's personal property.
Okay.
Maybe assigned to him within this Elohim hierarchy.
So less about divine selection and more about, like, territory power dynamics.
Exactly.
It's like Yahweh got assigned this group of people, and that's how the whole chosen people thing came about.
That's the idea.
That is definitely not the version I learned in Sunday school.
Yeah.
So, speaking of challenging interpretations, what about the big baddie himself? Satan.
Yeah.
If we're reading the Bible, this literally what happens to the whole devil and Lucifer story?
Well, buckle up, because Biglino's take on Satan might be the most controversial of all.
Okay. I am intrigued. Hit me with it.
He argues that the Hebrew word Satan just means adversary.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and it was often used to describe human enemies, not some demonic figure.
Hold on. You're telling me I can ditch the Halloween costume, no more devil?
Not according to Biglino.
All right, spill the tea.
He says the whole devil and Lucifer thing, that's all a later theological construct. The Old Testament uses Satan to refer to, human adversaries.
Right.
Like Hadad the Edomite, Rizon, son of Eliada.
I don't remember those guys.
Yeah, they opposed King Solomon.
Oh, right.
They were labeled as Satan.
So it's more about earthly rivals than a cosmic battle between good and evil.
Exactly. Biglino is challenging us to, strip away centuries of interpretation and just look at the text, as it is.
Okay, my mind is blown.
Yeah.
This deep dive is making me question everything. We've covered so much: flying machines, ancient astronauts,
again.
Whole new take on Satan. But I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
Oh yeah, there's so much more to explore.
There is. So for now, what stands out to you about this whole new literal perspective on the Bible?
What's really fascinating to me is how this reframes the narrative of human creation.
Yeah.
If Adam was made and not, created in the divine sense, it really raises some profound questions about our origins and our purpose.
It does. It's almost like we were seeded here rather than divinely created. And if the Elohim were real, I mean, flesh and blood beings with advanced technology, that changes everything.
It really does.
It makes you wonder, if we were just one of their many projects.
Yeah.
And if they were here, are they still out there?
Oh, who knows?
Those are questions for another deep dive. But for now, thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
Yeah, this has been great.
Through the Hebrew Bible. And we'll be back next time.
I'm looking forward to it.
To dive even deeper
into
those mysterious flying machines. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into Mauro Biglino's Gods of the Bible.
Oh, man. My head's still spinning from last time. We were talking about flying machines, ancient astronauts.
A lot to unpack.
It's like the Bible meets Star Wars.
Yeah, it definitely challenges our usual perspective.
Yeah. So you mentioned these flying machines, these Ruach Kavod, Merkava. What exactly are those?
Well, Biglino really dives into the Hebrew text. He says these weren't just metaphors. They were describing actual vehicles.
Not angels with wings. But...
Right. Not angels.
Okay.
More like, more like vehicles. Yeah, flying machines.
Wow. Okay, so give me an example. How does he tie these flying machines into a specific biblical story?
Well, think about the prophet Elijah
being
taken up to heaven in a whirlwind.
Right. Classic story.
The Hebrew word for whirlwind there is ruach, which is one of the terms he identifies as a flying machine.
So instead of Elijah just, floating up into the clouds, we're talking like he stepped into a spaceship.
It's a pretty wild image, isn't it?
It is. But wait, there are other ancient texts that mention flying machines too, right?
Biglino points out that the Sumerians, for instance, they use the term winds to describe celestial bodies. And they even talk about these cosmic battles.
Wait, cosmic battles like dogfights in the sky?
Oh, something like that.
So all these ancient cultures, even though they're separated by time and geography, They're all seeing these same things.
It's a pretty compelling argument. Biglino suggests they weren't just making up stories. They were trying to explain what they were seeing the best way they could.
And they're seeing flying machines, celestial battles. It's like a global phenomenon.
It is.
It is. Okay. Yeah. I am with you so far. So what about the cherubim?
Ah, yes, the cherubim.
They're always depicted as these cute winged babies.
Right.
It's always seemed kind of strange to me.
It does seem a little odd.
What's Biglino's take on those?
He's got a different interpretation.
Okay.
He points out the word itself, cherubim.
Yeah.
It relates to this idea of covering or protecting. He says they weren't angelic beings, but integral parts of these vehicles.
So not baby angels, but like parts of a machine.
That's the idea. And the descriptions in Ezekiel, they're pretty detailed.
Okay.
They have multiple wheels, a dome-like structure, even emitting fire.
Wow. It's like Ezekiel stumbled upon a blueprint for a UFO.
It's a pretty vivid picture, isn't it?
And remember how we talked about those burnt offerings?
Yes.
That had to be so specific? Mm-hmm. What if that had something to do with these vehicles?
Biglino thinks there might be a connection there.
Okay, like the ancient equivalent of rocket fuel.
Well, he suggests the burning might have generated some kind of energy that was necessary for the Elohim's vehicles, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty out there.
It is.
But is there anything else that supports this idea? Like beyond just Biglino's interpretation?
Biglino draws some parallels with modern space travel.
Okay.
Astronauts often report experiencing these distinct smells when they're in space.
What kind of smells?
Things like grilled meat, heated metal.
Wait, astronauts smell barbecue in space?
It's true. And Biglino suggests that those smells might be related to the operation of spacecraft.
So just like the burning of offerings might have been connected to
exactly.
the Elohim's vehicles. I mean, that's a pretty wild connection.
It is.
So we're talking flying machines, ancient astronauts.
Yep.
And Biglino even reinterprets the Ark of the Covenant as
he doesn't stop there.
As some kind of advanced technology.
He sees it as a technological marvel.
Okay, how so?
Well, he points out that the Hebrew word for mercy seat, the lid of the ark, it's kapore.
Kapore. Okay.
Which also means cover or lid more generally.
Okay.
And remember those cherubim on top with their wings spread out?
Yeah, it always seemed a little out of place to me.
He suggests the ark might have been some kind of capacitor.
A capacitor?
A device that stores energy. Mm-hmm. And the cherubim with their wings, they could have functioned as electrodes or antennas.
So not angels guarding a sacred chest.
No.
But parts of a technological device.
That's Biglino's interpretation.
Okay, and there are stories in the Bible where the ark does some pretty...
There are crazy things.
Yeah, like when the Philistines captured it and it caused all sorts of chaos.
What if that wasn't divine retribution, but them messing with something they didn't understand?
That's what he's suggesting, yeah.
It's there's warnings on high voltage equipment. Danger, do not touch.
Exactly. And remember Uzzah.
Vaguely.
He reached out to steady the ark.
Oh, yeah.
And was instantly killed.
Yeah.
What if that was electrocution?
Okay, my mind is officially blown. We've got flying machines, ancient astronauts, the Ark of the Covenant as some kind of super weapon.
It's a lot.
Where's the physical evidence? That's a fair question. Biglino, he relies heavily on textual analysis and drawing connections with, modern science.
Right.
He's pushing the boundaries of traditional scholarship. His ideas they're definitely controversial.
But they are thought-provoking. I'll give him that.
They are.
I mean, if he's right, it changes everything we thought we knew about history, religion.
It would be a paradigm shift.
I think that's what's so fascinating about this whole deep dive. It's not about proving and disproving.
Right.
It's about exploring these different perspectives, asking new questions.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What's the final piece of the puzzle?
Well, we saved the most controversial topic for last.
Uh-oh.
Biglino's take on the true nature of Satan.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. All right, lay it on me. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into gods of the Bible.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have flying machines, ancient astronauts, the Ark of the Covenant as a super weapon. But today we're tackling the big baddie himself, Satan.
This is where things get really interesting.
Because Biglino basically says, forget everything you thought you knew about the devil.
Yeah, he really turns that concept on its head.
No horns, no pitchfork.
Well, not according to Biglino.
So what's the deal with Satan then?
He says the Hebrew word Satan just means adversary.
Okay.
And in the Old Testament, it's often used to describe human enemies, not some, demonic figure.
So not like the ultimate evil.
Not in the traditional sense.
More like an obstacle or
exactly, yeah, a rival, an opponent.
like a really tough competitor or
Yeah, or a political opponent.
Okay, so give me an example.
Well, Biglino points to Hadad the Edomite and Rezon, son of Eliada.
Those names don't ring a bell.
They opposed King Solomon.
Oh, right.
They were labeled as Satan in the text.
But they weren't like demons.
No, they were just guys trying to grab some power.
So all those like epic battles between good and evil, angels and demons, it's not what we think.
Biglino argues that whole concept of Satan as this ultimate evil ruler of hell,
right,
that's a much later development.
So it's not really in the original Hebrew Bible.
Not in that way.
Okay, but what about the Book of Job?
Ah, yes.
Isn't Satan like a main character in that story?
He is, but even there, Biglino points out that he's described as one of the sons of God.
Oh, right.
Who presents himself before Yahweh.
So he's not like working against God.
Not exactly, more like carrying out his will.
Okay.
Testing Job's faith.
So not a picnic for Job.
No, definitely not.
But not quite the devil we imagine.
Right, a more nuanced role.
And what about the whole Lucifer thing?
The fallen angel.
Yeah, cast out of heaven.
Biglino says that's based on a misinterpretation of a passage in Isaiah.
Okay.
The verse describes the fall of the morning star.
Right.
But Biglino says it's referring to a human king, not an angel.
So it's another example of how later interpretations have kind of shaped our understanding.
Exactly. They've added layers of mythology and symbolism.
We've taken these ancient texts and we've added all this extra stuff on top.
Exactly. And Biglino is saying, let's strip that away.
Right.
Let's go back to the original and read it literally.
Which is what we've been trying to do in this deep dive.
Yeah.
And it's been mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So what's your main takeaway from all this about Satan?
What's really interesting to me is how this challenges the whole idea of this dualistic worldview, this cosmic battle between good and evil.
Yeah.
You know, if Satan is just an adversary, maybe evil isn't this external force.
Right, like a being that we need to defeat.
Exactly, but rather something that comes from within.
Something we have to confront within ourselves.
Exactly.
That's a much deeper challenge.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into gods of the Bible, what's the big takeaway for our listeners?
I think Biglino's work, even if you don't agree with all of it,
right,
it reminds us that there are multiple ways to interpret the Bible.
Absolutely.
A literal reading, it can be challenging.
It can be.
But it can also open up new perspectives.
Yeah, it makes you think about things in a whole new way.
That's right.
So it's a call to be curious, to keep searching, to keep asking questions.
And to remember that our understanding is always evolving.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed it, maybe even had some of your beliefs challenged.
Yeah.
And remember, there's always more to explore.
Always.